I've never been on a hot air balloon ride, but I do feel like life can be like a hot air balloon ride. It can be pretty scary, frightening, just hard at times, right? But I also feel like it can be fun and exhilarating as well. I've always tried to live my life by doing things that made me happy. I always tried to do things that, regardless of what other people may think, even if it meant ruffling a few feathers, right? I feel like you're responsible for your own happiness, and if you're not doing things that make you happy, then what are you doing? I feel like I've been lucky in that regard when it comes to like my parents, because they've shown me what unconditional love is. I've definitely have made decisions that they haven't agreed with, like when I first got my ear pierced, or when I got my tattoos, or when I grew my hair out, or when I decided to ride a motorcycle and then I got in an accident and decided to fix it and ride my motorcycle again. Like, there's obviously things that I've done that they haven't always been a fan of or agreed with, right? I remember when Desiree wanted to move back, right? After she had moved out and she wanted to come back. There's things that they have done to show me like, hey, I'm not always going to agree with you, and I'm not always going to like the decisions that you come up with, but at the end of the day, they're still going to love me, and they're still going to, support and help me. And I think that's important. I think if you're going to go through this balloon ride of life, I think it's important that you share it and you surround yourself with people like my parents, right? People that are going to encourage you and support you and love you regardless of the decisions or regardless of the things that you do. And I think that makes life a lot more tolerable, as opposed to people loving you conditionally. I will love you as long as you do this, or I will, help you as long as you're listening or doing this and this and that. I don't know. It's not the way I want to live my life, not how I live my life. And that's something that I wish and I hope to instill with my daughters. I just hope that I can continue to be, help them, know that I'm going to love them unconditionally, regardless of what they may decide or regardless of what they may do. Now, let's be clear. Like, I have 3 girls, and when they get older, there'll definitely be things that I don't agree with or things that I'm not going to like. But that's okay. It's their life, and my job is to try to help and guide and, redirect them in a positive, or to view things from a different perspective or productive way, right? Rather than trying to dictate or manipulate or trying to get them to do what it is that I want them to do. I mean, at the end of the day, it's their life, right? Which is ironic, right? Because you have kids and you feel like your responsibility is to teach them things, and you feel like I have to show them and do all this stuff for them. But when you have kids, the funny thing is they end up teaching you more about life than I feel like parents teach them, right? Like, they teach you about how to appreciate the small things in life and the important things in life about family, and they teach you about having fun, and they teach you about things that we just kind of forget about, or things that we kind of take for granted. I will tell you that I've always wanted a boy, right? Like, I think I had my different attempts to have a boy, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I wish that, especially when we were trying, that I had a boy. But I mean, I wouldn't change it now for anything. But I think as a guy, I think it's pretty typical to want to have a boy and be like, hey, like, I'm gonna teach you everything, I'm gonna play with you, like, it's gonna be like we're gonna have this special bond, right? And I feel like with boys, it'd be so much easier, right? Like, I feel like until the boy can beat you up in a fight, like, they have to listen to you, right? They're like, hey, you don't want to listen? Well, I'm gonna beat you, and then you're gonna listen, right? With girls, it's a totally different approach, right? I can't just I just can't exert my force on them, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. They perform psychological warfare on you, right? And you might be thinking like, well, what are you talking about? Let me give you an example. It was Avery's birthday, and it was just me, Avery, and Aria, because Liv wasn't born yet. And we talked about the car. We were in the car, and I was setting expectations, right? And I said, hey, we're going to stop at this store, and this was Toys R Us when it was still around, and I said, hey, we're going to get a gift for Avery, and just Avery, because it's not your birthday, Arya, so we're going to get a gift for Avery, and in a couple months when it's your birthday, we'll come and get your gift, okay? Okay, Daddy. All right, Avery, does that make sense? Yeah, okay. All right, let's go get a gift, right? Probably within 10 minutes of being in the store, things start to go south. And by that I mean Arya has found a doll, right, and a mighty expensive doll, may I say, with some accessories, right? And I was like thinking, okay, how am I going to lean into this conflict? Because I already set the expectations. She obviously doesn't care. She wants his doll, right? It's like, hey, Arya, how's Avery finding the gift? Like, are we helping her? Like, do you know what she wants? And she's like, I don't know, but I want this. And I was like, okay, remember, Arya, like, this is for Avery. And of course, you know, she was 3 at the time. She doesn't care, right? She don't care about the conversation we had in the car. She don't care about expectations. She don't care about any of that, right? All she cares about is that she found the doll, and she doesn't have this doll and all the accessories that she would get with this doll. So how are we going to pay for this doll, right? So again, when I talk about psychological warfare, this is what I'm talking about. I tell her, hey, no, we're not going to get it because this is for Avery, so we need to put it back. And boom, if I needed any reassurance that she was my kid, like, the way that she handled it would be proof that she was my kid, right? Number one, she didn't take no for an answer, right? So definitely my kid. Number two, she provided a creative solution on how to get around the no, right? Boom, definitely my kid. So she said, yeah, well, if we get the doll now, then we won't have to come back, right? And I could just hold on to it for when it's my birthday. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, that's actually a good point, but the point is for Avery, so we have to put it back, right? And then she just held on to it super tight, locked onto my eyes, right? Looked into my soul, just like attached to my heart, right? And just cried and just was like, but I want it. And I looked around, you know, the store, and I was like, this is not a good look, right? Like, this is not a good look. We're at the toy store. She's clinging on to this toy like I'm about to, like, separate her from, like, I don't know, oxygen itself, right? And she's, like, clinging on, and I'm like, and people warned me about this, right? They're like, you know, when you have girls, they're gonna have you wrapped around their finger. And I was just like, okay, yeah, okay, good one, right? But in that minute, man, I caved, and I ended up buying that gift for her, and it was hard to say no. And so I tell you, like, with guys or with boys, I feel like it'd be so much easier from a guy to, you know, from like a male to male perspective. I think it'd be so much easier. But when you have a girl, like, you know, it's just a different kind of bond. And I can't tell you, like, what it does to me when, like, we're just playing or we're just hanging out, and one of them will just come up to me and, like, hug me and be like, I love you. And I'm just like, well, like, I love you too. You know, like, the thing I love about the girls is that, like, they get the best of me, right? It's like the most challenging, most beautiful relationship that I've ever had, and it's because they get, like, my most vulnerable part, my most real part. Like, I'm just me with them, right? Like, they don't care about I've had a rough day at work or a rough week at work, or I've had all these other things going on in life. Like, they don't really care. They just want to have fun and be around me and just indulge in our company, right? And I think that is what it's all about, right? They just kind of provide that perspective that we kind of lose sight of. And I think that if I can do anything for them going forward, is just to remind myself that the most important thing is them. And, you know, I've had to put my ego aside, and I've had to do things even when I'm angry or upset for them, because, you know, ultimately they're worth it, you know. And ultimately they're the ones who are going to learn because of the things that I do or the things that I don't do. So Arya, Ghost, Avery, Shadow, and Liv, Peanut, who your sisters don't really like that nickname for you, but I feel like it fits. Just know that Daddy loves you so much, and I love the things that we do and how much fun that we have and the cool adventures that we go on. Love you guys. So Arya, Avery, Liv, if you're watching this, just know that Daddy loves you. He loves you so much. And you guys make me super happy and super proud to be your dad. And by far, you guys will be the greatest thing that I will ever do in this life. Uh, I don't know why. I don't know why getting a little emotional, but um, yeah.